We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
I have no problem with anyone hating me, and I know for a fact that Charlie Kirk had no problem with anyone hating him. This would be sullying his legacy. Yesterday, President Trump and his administration made some pretty big declarations. Some of them are great. Some of them are ones that I obviously am supportive of being made because I've been making these for close to a decade. Some of them not so good, Pam Bondi. Yeah, but here's the good is, oh, nice. Antifa should be designated, or at least close to. Seems like he's inching toward it. He needs to see enough support. Make him know that you support this. Antifa, a terrorist organization.
Do you plan on designating Antifa finally a domestic terror organization?
Well, it's something I would do, yeah. If I have support from the people back here, I think we'd start with Pam, I think. But I would, if you give me, I would do that 100%. And others also, by the way. But Antifa is terrible.
Careful, because Pam Bondi's about to screw it up. And I don't want to see infighting right now. She is not one of us.
No.
I'll make it very, very clear. Pam Bondi is not one of us. She does not share your values in common. Wait 30 seconds. But designating Antifa a terrorist organization, absolutely. Having been the target of their violence for years, this is something that I have been pushing for going on years. Does Antifa fit this definition? Absolutely. Not only do they fit the definition, keep in mind, terrorism, you don't necessarily have to commit violence. You have to instill terror. Mm-hmm. Antifa obviously does that, and then they go one step further and actually commit acts of violence.
Yeah,
so they're a terrorist organization plus.
We're wrapped for right now. It's going to get too dangerous.
Antifa and Black Lives Matter are domestic terrorist organizations. In order to get in with the Antifa crowd, we had to infiltrate their private groups. After news broke that they were officially classified as a domestic terrorist organization, they pulled everything in much closer to the chest. Antifa is not an idea. It's a group of people who commit acts of violence. Terrorist organization. That one's pretty cut and dry. Please do it. I don't care what Ray said. It's an idea of people.
No.
Shut up, Wiener. All right. This brings us to the bad. Bondi.
Bad Bondi.
Yes. So I want to be clear here.
Sounds like a rapper.
Yeah. Lil Bad Bondi. Or as opposed to the senior, it's Lil Bad Gold Bondi.
Oh, so, yeah, because of the infection.
Yeah. Bondi here, and when they were doing the confirmation at that point, I was hoping for the best, holding my nose. Know enough about her background. She does not share your values. She is not a conservative, and I can prove it. She makes the case that hate speech is different from free speech, and that we won't allow hate speech. This is rudimentary, by the way. This is actually using a leftist talking point. Here's the thing. We don't need to change our values right now. We need to change our approach. We need to change the ratio of mercy versus defense. But we don't need, our values are very consistent as conservatives. You have the right to say whatever you want as long as it's within the bounds of the law. If you threaten to kill somebody, that's not speech. If you offer to pay someone or you offer to help someone kill somebody else, that's not free speech. It's the action. We need to deal with the violent actions and the speech therein that are calls to violent actions. We do not need to go down a slippery slope of saying, yeah, and some speech may be hateful. Pam Bondi doesn't know that because Pam Bondi has never had a conversation with a genuine conservative in her life. She was groomed. She's a politician. She's disingenuous. And what she says here sounds exactly like a leftist. Go.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech.
Nope.
And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society. We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
Look,
sorry.
I have no problem with anyone hating me, and I know for a fact that Charlie Kirk had no problem with anyone hating him. This would be sullying his legacy.
Yeah.
And our problem is not with the speech aimed at Charlie Kirk. Our problem is with the bullets. And our problem is with the speech therein, the messages planning to fire bullets. Someone can say, I hate Charlie Kirk. Someone can say, I hate Gerald Morgan. I hate whoever. No problem with that. Someone can say, this person is awful. They're an idiot. Of course. You cannot say, hey, I'm going to kill Charlie Kirk, or I hope that someone kills. I would like to help you kill Kirk, Crowder, Shapiro, insert whoever here, Jordan Peterson. She doesn't, and she tried to explain it and clarify it. And this is the problem when you have tragedies like this and people are going after headlines.
Yeah.
And there's no basis in any fundamental values. She attempted to clarify her position and just made it worse because she has no values. On X this morning, hate speech that crosses the line into threats of violence is not protected by the First Amendment. Do that without saying hate speech.
Yep. Get rid of the first 7 words. Just start with threats of violence.
Of violence.
Yep.
It's a crime. Threats of violence, not hate speech. You're giving the left validity. For far too long, we've watched the radical left normalize threats. Nope. Calls for assassinations. Nope. And cheer on political violence. That era is over. Those are all crimes. Those crimes were not appropriately prosecuted, to be clear. You cannot call for someone's murder. I agree. That's not hate speech. That's a crime. You cannot swat a member of Congress. I agree. That is not hate speech. That is a crime. You cannot dox a conservative family and think it will be brushed off as free speech. I agree. That is not hate speech. That is a crime. These acts are punishable crimes. So do your job. And every single threat will be met with the full force of the law. Free speech protects ideas, debate, even dissent, but it does not and will never protect violence. Of course, violence is an action, and I would say not only dissent, but insults, verbal denigration. All of those things are protected under the First Amendment. I have been here since 2008 saying we have to protect free speech at all costs. And people will say, look, I'm not a libertarian. I'm not a free speech absolutist in the sense that, sure, you could call for violence, but that has nothing to do with speech. It's violence. The fact that Pam Bondi cannot discern the difference tells you that she should be in no position whatsoever to even think about policing speech. And I have made myself clear on this, as did Charlie Kirk. The issue of hate speech, in this case here, going back to 2009 and going back to Change My Minds, one of the very first in early 2017 and many times thereafter.
Hi. Are you up for having your mind changed?
Sure, yeah. Do you disagree with me? So I'd like to keep the conversation to speech, because that's what we're talking about.
So speech, the things that people like utter, only utterances,
things that people
and
say.
Perhaps like on the internet. I don't know if you think people are exercising their freedom of speech on like Twitter.
Yeah, we're talking about the written word.
Written
we can
word
include
and
written word.
utterances.
Yeah,
That's
written
totally
written
fine.
word is speaking. Yeah.
I would also strongly support, others' right to vehemently oppose what you're doing, by almost any means necessary. Maybe with force. I'm not advocating violence.
You're not, but you said by almost any means necessary.
By almost any means, yeah. Things like that I fully support combating by any means necessary.
But someone who's a racist saying, I don't like Felicia because she's black, I think that's horrible. I disagree with him, but he does have the right to say it.
I agree with that. I don't think that should be illegal at all.
That's all. Even if we disagree on, let's say, everything, I think it's important to listen to what an opposing point of view has to say.
In other words, you're trying to define hate speech as just in the same category as all speech. It's
Yes.
First Amendment.
Yes.
So, and it's your right. It doesn't make it ethical, of course. It doesn't make.
Of course. You could say something very offensive, for example, very racist, that I would disagree with horribly, but it's speech. Yeah. You have the right to say it, and I have the right to be offended if I want. I have the right to disagree with it.
Yep.
I have the right to argue why you're wrong. But I don't believe that we have the right to shut down anyone's speech based on a term like hate. But I'm open to hearing convincing arguments on hate speech. And for those of you wondering, that's before Change My Minds could get permits. It wasn't really a thing, so a sandwich board.
And a bodysuit.
Yes.
You deserve to go to jail for wearing those shoes with that outfit.
They were the only shoes I had.
That one piece.
I know. They were the only shoes I had in Burlington, Vermont.
Looking like an Oreo cream.
The early days. So this is a thing, and you can take, obviously, what I've done, and you can take a lot of the Charlie Kirk's conversations. You can take the conversations from anyone. Take Jordan Peterson. Take Ben Shapiro. Take Sargon of Akkad. Take Michael Knowles. Take... It's been remarkably consistent. Why does Pam Bondi not get any of it?
Yeah.
None of it. This is the guy who's advocated defensive lawful violence. So I won't be told that I'm a pushover libertarian in defending speech. She is talking about policing speech. She doesn't understand that we already have laws in place to deal with actions and actionable speech. Calls to violence.
Yeah.
Offering to help plan violence. That's not a speech issue. It's as simple as this. The left would, this was a prepared argument in 2016. The left would always say, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Actually, you can. You can. If you believe there's a fire in a crowded theater. You can't do it knowingly lying in order to cause a stampede with the forethought, with the knowledge beforehand that it could harm somebody. It's the action. This is very rudimentary. Pam Bondi understands none of it.
Yeah.
She's not amongst you.
No, somebody close to her needs to get her to come out and say, hey, look, I was wrong. Yeah, I should not have said anything about hate speech because we've been fighting this fight for far too long. And I thought this issue was kind of done. I thought the hate speech issue was kind of settled for most people. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now she's just bringing it right back up. And people like Mehdi Hassan and everybody else, probably Destiny too, is out there saying, oh, now the right's worried about hate speech.
Exactly. Well, hey, do you know why Charlie Kirk was killed? Do you know how the left justified it? They said hate speech. Okay, your move, Pam Bondi. You want to go down that road? You're still here on YouTube. Remember when we could say whatever we wanted on YouTube and people didn't have to censor out words like gay? See, even that, right? That's not even a swear word. Or the word sex. Even if you're just talking about it, you're not saying anything profane. That's why I live stream on Rumble 5 days a week. Go subscribe over there on Rumble, where you get the live show every single day. If you're still using this archaic form of delivery for information on YouTube, I don't want to judge, but your father hates you.